Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. A vast expanse of heaven and earth had already twisted, evolving into a new world within. Within this new world, where birds chirped and flowers fragranced, there lurked a massive creature forged like ice, stunningly captivating under the illumination of light. This colossal ice creature exhaled endless mist, filling half of the 3,000 worlds, yet not a single cultivator came into contact with it. It was the low-level primordial life, Frost Nightmare Messenger. Where are the cultivators? Where? The Frost Nightmare Messenger was quite agitated. It excelled in ice and a few soul-related methods, but this time, the cultivators had kept their distance, shrouding it with a terrifying formation. 3,000 worlds, deadly mechanisms of heaven and earth. A cold voice echoed. Within this world, billions of sword lights appeared instantly. The countless sword lights interlocked like gears, making the entire formation cooperate with profound mystery, and its power surged dramatically, to the point where the low-level primordial life, Frost Nightmare Messenger, fell into despair. No, the Frost Nightmare Messenger watched in despair as a flood of sword lights engulfed it, eventually tearing open its body and cleaving through its core. Before absolute power, it had no way out. Its shattered corpse fell to the ground. It was only then that Emperor Qing appeared, waving his hand to collect the massive corpse. Although the sword lights had sliced up the body, the actual loss was minuscule, and it could still fetch a high price. Impressive, Luo Feng also appeared nearby, praising, "Brother Emperor Qing, you are much more crisp and decisive than me. And this 3,000 kill array is also much more profound than when we sparred before." Emperor Qing had also deployed the 3,000 kill array when they sparred in the Land of Origin, but back then it was not as profound. I brought a secret treasure array map, which I purchased for 5 million primordial crystals. It is a half-primordial level formation diagram, Emperor Qing smiled. With this array map, the 3,000 kill array can be even stronger. This Frost Nightmare Messenger was just something I happened to restrain. Luo Feng nodded. After all, Emperor Qing was an enlightened, who had almost reached the middle stage of Divine Emperor, with deeper realm accumulation, and a fitting formation diagram. His explosive power was indeed above his own. Boom. Massive thunder twinkled wildly, roaming all over. Luo Feng's world avatar struggled to entangle, but this time the terrifying, massive thunder did not engage him in combat, instead it focused on escaping. It tore through the edge of the 3,000 worlds and vanished in a flash. "It was my mistake," appeared Emperor Qing nearby, shaking his head. "Brother Luo Feng, even with your secret technique, you forced this thunder weasel to reveal its true body. I couldn't kill it in one strike, and as soon as it regained consciousness, it fled immediately. We've done our best." Luo Feng had also gained insight. Forbidden spells and the Lai Yuan technique were simultaneously deployed, managing to blast the thunder, which was hidden in the clouds, revealing its original form as a seemingly small beast like Thunder Weasel. But the Thunder Weasel had very strong survival abilities. Even if slightly dazed and confused, it was able to resist a full-force attack from Emperor Qing's formation, shedding 90% of its power and forcibly escaping the 3,000 worlds formation. It's a pity. Although this Thunder Weasel is also an early stage of Divine Emperor, low-level primordial life, the profundity of thunder it contains is quite extraordinary, valued at around 3 million primordial crystals. But it's too difficult to kill. Emperor Qing was also rather helpless. Luo Feng nodded. Low-level primordial life, after all, are born free from the braided cage, possessing many special talents. Some with extremely special talents could even sneak into a city like Yulon City, which is under the protection of many elders and hall masters. Therefore, occasionally in Yulon City, cultivators are ambushed and killed by low-level primordial life. But such covert attacks by low-level primordial life are not too reckless, because attacks within the city may at any moment provoke a group of elders to strike back. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing hunted together, and their cooperation got better and better. Luo Feng's causality avatar deployed the heavenly extinguishing curse technique in combination with the Lai Yuan technique, to great effect, generally able to daze divine emperor early-stage low-level primordial lives, giving them a very short window to launch a killing move. Luo Feng engaged in close combat entanglement, with Emperor Qing's 3,000 kill array encircling. The 3,000 kill array was more than 10 times stronger than Luo Feng's heaven and earth avatar combined with world projection. One after another, divine emperor early stage, low-level primordial lives were hunted down by the two of them. Sigh. The black flying boat was flying stealthily. Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction opened between his eyebrows, carefully observing the surroundings. Emperor Qing was also employing his detection technique, each with their own strengths in different secret detection methods. Not far from the black flying boat was a colossal creature integrated into the void. This behemoth, as if part of the void itself, had tens of thousands of long limbs. With the tens of thousands of limbs working like a loom, the void was being woven, turning the vast expanse into a web it had woven. The black flying boat of Luo Feng and company had already flown into the web. At this moment, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were still completely unaware, and were carefully scouting the surroundings. Buzz. The void weaves, layer upon layer of netting enveloped over. Something's not right, Emperor Qing suddenly frowned. What's wrong? Luo Feng was still completely unaware, as his spatial perception was far inferior to Emperor Qing's. Let's leave, quickly. Although Emperor Qing could not be certain, he vaguely sensed a great terror in the void. Whoosh! He immediately steered the black flying boat, reaching its limit in burst speed. As the black flying boat abruptly darted forward, layers upon layers of void webbing throughout the world finally fully emerged, encompassing the black flying boat. It's a void weaver. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng both recognized it and saw the emerging void weaver, its massive size, and terrible aura, which allowed them to estimate its probable strength. Late-stage divine emperor void weaver. Run. Luo Feng and his companion didn't hesitate for a moment, faced with such a void weaver. Even mid-stage divine emperors who are the enlightened would flee without hesitation, and the two of them harbored no thoughts of fighting. Emperor Qing stowed away the black flying boat, as it seemed useless at this moment. Luo Feng's time avatar then took Emperor Qing into the future timeline. Whoosh! In the future timeline, the time avatar carried Emperor Qing as they fled for their lives. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing had long discussed various strategies for escape. Since Luo Feng was carrying less valuable treasures, and his robust perfect divine body excelled in close combat, it was natural for Luo Feng to cover the rear and ensure Emperor Qing's safety. After all, the combined value of the secret treasure array map, black flying boat, and life-saving items that Emperor Qing carried was over 10 million primordial crystals. Moreover, their spoils of war this time, which included 6 corpses of low-level primordial life, were also temporarily in Emperor Qing's possession. While escaping in the future timeline, the time avatar and Emperor Qing noticed streams of void silk threads infiltrating the future timeline, enveloping them. Does this void weaver not only control the void, but also have such a profound impact on time? Luo Feng was helpless. His time avatar's talent as an ultimate realm power primordial bloodline creature allowed him to traverse past, present, and future all at once. Those who reached the second realm of Godly King on the path of time would possess similar methods. For those unfamiliar with the Tao of Time, Luo Feng's ability to escape was formidable. However, even low-level primordial life beings eventually break out of the braided cage. As their strength increases, they naturally wield influence over various aspects, such as time and causality. Heavenly Extinguishing Curse Technique. Lai Yuan Technique. The Heavenly Extinguishing Curse Technique, a forbidden move from the Life and Death Tao, executed with the Causality Avatar, also affected the Void Weaver. Before mastering the complete Great Tao, Luo Feng's spiritual will had already reached the level of Divine Emperor, and even surpassed the limits of Land of Origin during his extensive cultivation in the Dream Domain. Later, he successively mastered the three Taos of life, destruction, and life and death. His spiritual will rose time after time, unknowingly reaching the late stages of Divine Emperor. This was the harvest brought by enlightenment. Of course, for Divine Emperors, as their realms accumulate depth, their spiritual will gradually reaches a limit. To break through again, the spiritual will must break out of the braided cage, attaining a level comparable to high-level primordial life. This breakthrough of the spirit was more difficult than any other previous bottleneck. Thus, even beyond the source world, among the countless worlds where the strong converge, those whose spiritual will reaches the level of high-level primordial life are still extremely rare. Boom. The Heavenly Extinguishing Curse technique accounted for 30% of the power, while the Lai Yuan technique accounted for the remaining 70%. It managed to slightly delay the pursuit of the Void Weaver. Whoosh! This delay allowed Luo Feng's time avatar, carrying Emperor Qing, to quickly flee in the future timeline, getting out of range of the Void Weaver's pursuit. After all, the Void Weaver's influence over time wasn't too strong. Next, I must find a way to escape. Emperor Qing escaped. Luo Feng, watching the towering and massive Void Weaver, let out a roar. His world avatar split into three, each world avatar with 100-fold energy reserve and sufficient strength, headed in different directions to attack. World projection. Heaven and Earth unite. Heaven and Earth escape. Kill. The three imposing world avatars charged fearlessly towards the Void Weaver. Inside the black flying boat. How did it go? Emperor Qing looked at Luo Feng. The Void Weaver was too formidable. Luo Feng gently shook his head. Only the Heaven and Earth avatar managed to escape amidst the chaos. It was only due to the frantic combat by the Causality Avatar, World Avatar, and Heavenly Light Avatar that the Heaven and Earth Avatar had a chance to escape. The Heaven and Earth Avatar had a broad enough cover range that once it used the Heaven and Earth escape, it could flee extremely quickly. The Heaven and Earth Avatar managed to escape with Luo Feng's only pair of secret treasure gloves. We've lost a lot of energy reserves. Luo Feng felt a pang of distress. Such an energy reserve would take centuries to accumulate in the Land of Origin. In Yulon City, although the energy here was more potent, without the aid of a small universe, the current rate of energy absorption was even slower. Perhaps with a higher realm, the rate of absorption could increase. You covered our retreat, allowing me to escape, Emperor Qing said with a smile, and I didn't even have to use my life-saving treasures. In the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, the powerful beings generally greatly treasure their life-saving items. Especially those powerful beings from billions of worlds, those without avatars spare no expense on such items. These life-saving items could even offer a chance of escape in the presence of a half-primordial level existence. Of course, life-saving items are costly, with the cheapest being several 100,000 primordial crystals, and the sky's the limit for the more expensive ones. Some innate secret treasures and life-saving treasures exchanged from the infinite space treasure vault have extremely high values. Your loss of so many avatars, and such a vast amount of energy reserves, shall be counted as 500,000 primordial crystals, said Emperor Qing. For our gains, the 6 corpses of the primordial life we've obtained are valued at about 6.5 million primordial crystals. This time, it's estimated that your share is 3.5 million, and mine is 3 million, Emperor Qing said. Okay, Luo Feng nodded. They had set some rules before forming a team. The spoils of war were to be divided equally. In case of a crisis, to save the spoils of war and escape, the one who suffered the greatest loss would be compensated first with the shared spoils of war. Losing hundreds of times the perfect divine body energy reserve was a small matter to Luo Feng. It could be recovered after a few centuries of cultivation. If Emperor Qing used a life-saving treasure, that would cost 2 million primordial crystals. Of course, Emperor Qing only had that one life-saving treasure. He was ultimately a being from the source world, with cloning techniques, and thus he was unwilling to spend too much on life-saving items. Our gains are good. It's time to head back, Emperor Qing said. The more creatures we hunt, the more likely accidents will happen. Although the majority were lower-level primordial life at the early stage of Divine Emperor, the more they hunted, the higher the chance of encountering stronger ones. This time, it was just a late-stage Divine Emperor Void Weaver, but what if they encountered a perfect-level Divine Emperor? With Emperor Qing's life-saving treasure valued at only 2 million primordial crystals, whether he could escape was another matter. It's indeed time to head back, Luo Feng nodded. His own avatars were greatly depleted, and his strength had significantly decreased. It was time to return to Yulon City. Of course, he still had considerable energy reserves for his avatars within Yulon City. With over 3 million primordial crystals, this time I'll have to carefully study the exchange options in the infinite space treasure vault, Luo Feng thought to himself. He controlled the great Tao of life and death, and so he naturally could receive higher rewards in infinite space. Who? The black flying boat cautiously made its way back. The closer they got to Yulon City on their return, the more likely it was to encounter cultivators looking to plunder. Emperor Qing was very experienced and steered the black flying boat in a big detour. Coupled with Luo Feng's scanning with the biomimetic Eye of Destruction, they finally managed to narrowly avoid plundering and successfully returned to Yulon City. We're back. When the black flying boat flew through the city gates, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief. This video will end here.